everybody, welcome to the Knitted Kitchen Blog Hop. I'm Pia with Stitches and Scraps, and today we're working on washcloth number 41, which is the Bubble Stitch Washcloth. I'm working with Lion Brand 24/7 cotton yarn in the camel colorway. Unfortunately, I have lost my band, so I can't show you that, but it is again Lion Brand 24/7 cotton in the camel colorway, and Lion Brand was nice enough to provide us with this yarn for free for these patterns. So I've worked up part of this swatch already, and you can see that I've got part of the washcloth, not swatch, but you can see that I've got the same seed stitch border that I've been doing on all of my washcloths, which is 5 rows of seed stitch on the bottom and 4 stitches of seed stitch on each side. So we're going to continue with that. The middle part is the bubble stitch, and it's mostly actually stockinette. It's a lot easier than it looks. Basically, to make it pucker like this, you're going to be working these stitches, which are knit 4 below, where you're actually dropping the stitch down and knitting it lower than where you normally would. You're knitting it 4 rows lower than where you normally would. So that's the stitch that I'm going to show you how to do today. In between the rows where we're doing that stitch, we have 5 rows of just plain stockinette, which is knit on the front and purl on the back. So here we've got the knit 4 below, and you can see I've done 5 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows of stockinette above it. So we're ready to do another one of the pattern rows. Before we get started, I want to show you what it looks like on the back, because I absolutely love the way this stitch looks at the back with these diamonds, and that makes it great for the washcloth or anything else that you're going to see both the front and the back, like a scarf or anything like that, because it looks good on both sides, and that's very important. So let's get into how to make the pattern. Let me show you how to do this knit 4 below stitch. For the seed stitch border, we're going to do exactly what we've been doing all along, which is slip the first stitch, knit 1, purl 1, and knit 1. Now we get into our pattern section. You can see that the last time I did a pattern row, I did this knit 4 below on the second stitch of the row. These are offset, so the first time it's going to be knit 3 and then do the pattern stitch, and then the next time you do it, it's going to be knit 1 and then do the pattern stitch. So that's what we just did last time. So this time we're back to knit 3. So we're going to knit 3. And that should put us directly in the middle of this bubble here from the last section. And you can see that here are the 2 little pinches that we did, and these 3 stitches are the bubble, and we're directly above the middle of it. So that's how you know you're in the right place. So now we get to do the fun stitch. And it's a lot of fun, even though it looks a little scary, so don't worry. We're going to drop this stitch, and we're just going to let it go. For 4 rows, we're going to unpick this stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're going to pick up this loop here and put our needle underneath all of those free loops that we just pulled out. So all of those little horizontal bars, we put our needle under all of that. Yarn over like you're going to do a knit. See? And then pull it through this stitch right here. And you can even it out a little bit as you go. And you can see how that gathers all of them up into one stitch. And what we've basically done is compress everything. We've knit 4 rows below, so everything gets tightened a little bit. Then we knit 3 to get us to the middle of the next stitch. And you can see we are right in the middle of the next bubble section, sorry, it's not really a bobble. So now I'm going to show you another way. For those of you who do not like dropping stitches down, the other way you can do it is you can count the stitches down and put your needle in first. So you start with the stitch that's on the needle. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are the 4 you're going to drop. So you go into just underneath that. See right in the center there of the next one? Stick your needle in there. Okay. Then drop this off the hook or off the needle and pull those out, and now you've got your needle in the right place. I find it slower. I find it harder to pull those stitches out when your needle is sticking there, but that is another way you can do it. And then you just pull this through like that. Okay, and then we knit 3 to get to the next segment. And again, we're right in the middle of the bubble. So I'm going to show you another technique you can use. For some people, I'm a crocheter, so for crocheters to stick it in a loop that's not attached to anything and pull the yarn through, that's pretty easy because that's kind of how we crochet too. But knitters like to sometimes have all of the loops on their needle. So here's another thing you can do. Get down, whether you stick your needle in first or not, get down to the stitch that you want. So that's pulling out the 4, okay? Now instead of just sticking your right needle into that, you can actually put all of these loops onto your left needle instead. So now they're all just sitting there on the left needle, and then you can knit through all of them together. So you kind of can use the same knit motion that you're used to, and it'll still give you the same result. So there's a lot of different ways you can approach this stitch to make it less scary. But my favorite, and what I think is the fastest, is if I go 1, 2, 3 to get to the middle. Okay, now I'm at my stitch. This is the fastest, I think. If you're using a yarn that's not too slippery, that's not going to slip away from you, just drop it down carefully. Stick your needle in the middle and finish your knit stitch. And that is the key to the whole pattern. What we're going to do is we're going to finish this row this way, and then I'm going to show you what it looks like at the end of the row. Okay, I've just done, or I'm just doing my very last knit 4 below stitch. Whoops, slipped there for a second. There we go. I've just finished my last knit 4 below stitch, and there's one more stitch left in the main section, which I'm just going to knit. And then we're back to our seed stitch edge here. So it's knit, purl, knit, and purl. Okay, so that finishes our row. And if I lay this out, you can see what happened. All of these little knit 4 below stitches have made those other knit stitches in the middle pucker, because these are so much tighter and they're so much smaller, so it just makes everything in the middle pucker. Now we're going to do another 6 rows, and well, 5 rows, sorry, another 5 rows, and then on the 6th row we're going to do the same thing again, but this time we're going to offset it by, instead of starting with 3 plain knit stitches, just starting with 1 knit stitch. So we start with 1 and we'll end with 3. And that's how you do the bubble stitch. Thanks for watching, and I hope you'll join me again next time for another fun square.